Hey, welcome back to Socialette. This is episode 484. Three big mistakes that I made in my business in quarter one. So I have had one hell of a quarter. It feels like it's been just thing after thing after thing. And it's been really interesting because I've learned so much from it. And even though it hasn't necessarily been my favorite quarter, I am really excited to share with you some of the things that I learned from the mistakes that I made so that you can't or that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. So, the very first mistake that I made in quarter one was I just did way too much. Now, I got really excited because this is the first quarter where I've really felt supported by a team, where I felt like I wasn't the one doing all of the things. So when it came to planning for quarter one, I thought, let's get all of the things into the calendar. We can do so much. And we did. In quarter one, we had three launches. We launched Launch Magic Live. We launched Boost Your Brand Superfans off the back of Launch Magic Live. So we did a founding student launch for that. And we did the public launch for Boost Your Brand Superfans, which we just wrapped up a couple of days ago as I'm recording this. And on top of that, I also finished writing my book and launched that. So that was four major projects. Plus, on top of all that, in March, I spent 2 weeks in the US for Social Media Marketing World. I wasn't originally planning to do that, but as soon as Australia opened up travel, I thought, okay, great, let me jump on a plane and let me get over there. And I don't regret it at all. It was an awesome experience, and it was great to finally get out of the country and travel again because, as you know, travel is one of the massive things that lights me up. But wow, we were really cramming in about 6 months worth of work into 3 months without factoring the fact that I would be jet lagged coming back. And I actually got back from the US about 3 days before card open for Boost Your Brand Superfan. So 3 days before I delivered the first webinar. And I hadn't really counted on the fact that I would be jet lagged. I'd forgotten just what jet lag felt like because it's been a few years. I wasn't in my best energy coming into Card Open, and having just wrapped up Card Open, I can tell you all I feel like doing right now is having a nap. And this is coming from somebody who loves launching. Like, I love launching, but I've realized that for me to show up as my best self in all of my launches, they need to not be back to back to back like what we just did. So that was the first big mistake. If you like the tips that I share in this podcast, you will love my daily Biz Booster emails. Each day, I send a bite sized tip straight to your inbox to help you grow your business faster and have more fun in the process. Sign up for the daily Biz Boosters at stephtaylor.co/DBB, or you can find a link in the show notes. Mistake number two was that I wasn't very consistent with my content, and I preach consistency. I know how beneficial consistency can be. This podcast is what it is because I've published an episode 3 times a week for nearly 4 years. And occasionally I do miss episodes. And in quarter one, I missed quite a lot of episodes because I was so busy in all of the other stuff. I was writing my book, I was launching all of these things, I was traveling. And I know that it's really difficult to get ahead on the recordings to make sure that everything's scheduled ahead of time. But I also now looking back, I should have invested a bit more time into scheduling my content ahead of time so I didn't have to rely on having the energy to do it when it was due to be published. Because I didn't have that energy, because I was feeling a little bit tired, a little bit burnt out from all of those launches, of course, I don't want to show up and record podcast episodes when I'm feeling tired, when my hair's in a messy bun, when I can't even talk, I can't even string a sentence together, let alone record a podcast episode. So that was really interesting. That was another really interesting takeaway from quarter one was, wow, consistency is actually really, really difficult. And that's with a team behind me as well. So I want to remind you that if you're struggling to be consistent because you've got a million other things going on, it's it's not going to be easy. And it does require setting aside that time ahead of time to record the podcasts or create the Instagram posts and schedule them so you don't have to worry about them, so that that part of your brain isn't taken up with what needs to be done to be consistent. The third big mistake that I made in quarter one was that even though we had all of these projects happening, we didn't include any proven profit drivers. So we didn't include any launches that we knew would be super profitable, because we'd launched them before. We didn't include any, I don't know, flash offers for existing products or any push campaigns for my VIP days, for example. And this was really risky because we were only launching new things. So we didn't know if these new things would convert well. We didn't know if they would be profitable, if they would actually be a loss. And that was quite risky. And we actually didn't end up meeting our financial targets for quarter one. I'll be totally transparent with you. But that's okay because we have so much to work with now. We know what we need to work on to make quarter two even better. And quarter two is great because we're relaunching Launch Magic. It's one of our two launches of the year that we're doing. So if you are thinking of joining Launch Magic, you'll have the opportunity to do so again in May. And for me, the Launch Magic launch is kind of a low stress launch because we've done it 3 times before. We know it converts, we know it's profitable, we know our students get results. So that takes a lot of pressure off. But having included something like that in quarter one, having included something that we knew was a big profit driver would have been a much better way to go about it than only doing brand new things. So there you have it. 3 big mistakes I made in quarter one. I'm sure that if you take a minute to reflect back on your quarter one, you'll probably find that you also made a couple of mistakes, but you'll also, when you dig a little deeper, be able to uncover the learnings behind those mistakes, because it's not just about beating ourselves up for making mistakes. And it's actually not about that at all. It's about taking those mistakes and thinking, okay, what can we do differently next time as we've learned from these mistakes? That is it for this episode. If you have any friends who you think would benefit from Socialette, please do tell them about this show. That is how I get to help more people. And if you are not already subscribed to the show, please make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks so much for listening. Catch you next time.